Hey guys, this is Mr. Roxy coming at you live from Palm Beach. It is Thursday. It is December the 30th. It means it's almost New Year on the people who follow the Gregorian calendar. And I'm sure I'm going to probably speak to you guys before we actually hit the big gong to ring in January 1st, 2022. Anyway, I thought it's about time I get back to doing what I do and stick to my roots and wear my Mr. Oxy cap and talk a little bit about energy. So, about a year ago, almost a year ago, I made a video saying here are my top 10 energy picks for 2021. I held true to those and I was actually long on 5 of them. Going into the year, I was actually long on 4, but very quickly thereafter, I added energy transfer. So what I'm going to do in this video is give you a quick overview of what these 5 long positions of mine have done for the year. Not all of them have been great, and obviously we've had a bit of a correction in energy over the last couple of months or so. I'm okay with that. It's not really a problem. But I'm going to talk to you briefly about Oxy and Enbridge, Pembina, which is a pipeline. Energy Transfer is also a pipeline, so midstream companies, and then Total, which is a French super major. Anyway, what I've done is I've done a quick comparison of the 5 stocks and thought we could quickly run through these. And then what I'm going to do in the second part of the video is talk about some of the stocks that you guys have highlighted for me during the past couple of months or so, including one in particular that I actually opened a small long position in. These 5 positions that are on the screen right now are major positions for me. I have long positions in all 5 of these, and they're big. I have said before in several of my videos that my energy stocks attribute approximately 40% of my holdings, and another 40% or so is financials, and the other 20% is a mix of industrials and REITs and things like that. But anyway, let's look at these energy stocks specifically. So the first 5 I'm going to cover here at the top of the screen. The logos at the bottom in case you forget which one is in which order. They're going to be in the same order all the way through. A couple of quick slides, and we'll look at 5 that you guys highlighted for me. So in the first place, these 5 stocks sort of trading in the price range as it is here. You can see that Energy Transfer on the New York Stock Exchange currently trading at around $8 is like super cheap. Whether it's going to be at $8 or $5 within the next few months or so, who knows? I think Energy Transfer is actually going more likely to be in the range of about $12 to $15 within the next 6 months. Anyway, what do they do? So Occidental Petroleum is an integrated company. Enbridge is predominantly production and pipeline. I like Enbridge for a different reason as well. It's the utility in Ontario, in Canada, which means that all Canadians pay through their noses to Enbridge to heat their homes in the winter and cool their homes in the summer. Natural gas utility in the province of Ontario, where approximately 1/3 of Canada's population lives. Production and pipeline, Pembina. This is a large pipeline operator in Canada as well, headquartered in Alberta. Total is a super major out of Paris, France, and Energy Transfer, of course, pipelines as well. So in this little mix of 5 longs that I have here, I have an integrated corporation. I have production and pipeline, comes up a couple of times, and I see Total now brand themselves as other alternative energy. They can call it whatever they want. At the end of the day, they're a super major specializing in oil and gas. Let's take a look quickly at the technicals here for these 5 stocks, and I'm not going to keep you too long on these. We know if we look at the stochastic score that the stochastic shows us that a company is overbought. So too many people have bought Enbridge already, and it's oversold. And we can see that Energy Transfer is bordering here on being oversold. So of the 5, energy is overbought, and Energy Transfer is close to being oversold. I have had energy in my portfolio for many, many years, and specifically Enbridge. I have been long on Enbridge for quite a number of years. I'll tell you why in just a second. The weighted alpha effectively, just by way of a quick summary, means if it's negative, it's risky. If it's a 0 or thereabouts, it's commensurate with risk as expected. And if it's positive, it's an outperform. You can see all of these are positive here. One of them is an outlier. That's Occidental Petroleum. An excess return over the last 12 months. We're going to look at that in just a second in more detail. If we look at the performance As I said at the beginning of the video, we've been in a sort of minor correction year from an energy point of view. A correction by definition means a 10% correction in the marketplace. Now, even though over the last 6 months they have not necessarily been down 10%, there are a couple of outliers. Energy Transfer has pulled back sharply from where it was. In fact, at one stage on my cost basis, which is about $7 and a few cents, I was up 50, 60% almost. Now I'm just up a little, just a smidge. You can see Total has been a good performer for me, giving me a 10% return over the last 6 months. And then the others are all trending negative over the last 6 months or so. This doesn't worry me in the least. Two of these, of the 3 here, Occi, Enbridge, and Pembina, two of them, Enbridge and Pembina, I literally just park and collect the dividend and reinvest it into more stock. Occi is my primary growth stock in terms of these particular long energy stocks that I am showing you here. The market cap of the company, what's interesting to me here is not so much the market cap, and in case you don't know what market capitalization is, it's market valuation. It's the number of outstanding shares multiplied by the share price on the day. But what's interesting about the market cap is comparing it to its annual sales. So you can see a company like Occidental generates approximately $18 billion in sales and has a market cap of only 27 billion. Comparatively, if you take a company like Enbridge, it does, call it 10 billion more in sales than Occi, but its market cap is more than 3 times greater than that of Occidental. So you can kind of view these sort of in terms of where they are sales compared to market cap, which gives you a nice ratio in terms of price to sales, price to book, etc. Annual sales for Total, almost 120 billion, and the company's market cap is only 135 billion, which means that the annual sales is almost matching the market cap of the company. What about the 60-month beta? So 60 months is 5 years. It's a long period. I typically hold my long positions for 3 to 5 years. All of the stocks at the bottom of the screen are in that 3 to 5 year category. If the beta is greater than 1, it's more volatile, and if it's less than 1, it's less volatile. And you can see these old steady eddies for me here are kind of at 1 or thereabouts, and the most volatile ones are Occidental Petroleum and, of course, Energy Transfer, which became very volatile of late. But look at this. So when I say I park money into these to collect the dividend and reinvest it, Enbridge is paying me 66 cents, 67 almost per share on an annual yield basis. Pembina is paying 16 cents per share. Total 55 cents per share, and Energy Transfer 15 cents per share. That means in terms of a percentage yield, they are all yielding approximately 7, 8, almost 9%. And a couple of them, like Enbridge and Pembina, actually pay me my dividends monthly. If we look at the graph in terms of performance, because before we get too depressed about a correction in energy, let's look at it over a 1 year period. I'm looking at these 5 stocks again, which were on the previous screens, and you can see that the worst performer in this particular instance, Total, and sort of in line with the other 2 bad performers here, which were Enbridge and Pembina, have yielded a return on investment for me of between 18 and 25% on an annualized basis. Now, let me just pause there for a second, because if I told you at the end of 2020 that if you invested money in Enbridge, Pembina, or Total, you would generate a return on investment of about 20%, and you would be able to sock away a nice juicy dividend of about 6 or 7%, you probably would have said, thank you very much, I'll take it. Well, I did. In fact, in December of 2020, I said my top pick for energy for 2021 is Enbridge, and it's paid handsomely for me, because not only have I benefited from the return on investment of about 20%, but I have also collected the dividend and bought more stock. Energy Transfer, even though it's pulled back sharply from this high that it achieved just a while back, is now only up 34%. Now, guys, if you're upset or you don't like 34%, then that's just too bad, because I don't know how it gets much better than this, unless you pick an outlier like Devon Energy or something like that. How about Occidental, your favorite stock and mine? 1 year, this is its return, 68%. Well, Occidental actually owes me a much higher return on investment, because it doesn't pay the big fat dividend of all the other 4. So in that instance, or for that reason, I'll kind of forgive it for not paying me a nice, big, fat, juicy dividend, because it generated a return on investment of 70% over the last year. If you had stuck with me on Oxy and you didn't trade in and out of the position, or not too aggressively anyway, you would be up 60, 70% over 1 year, and you would probably be happy. How about these? So a couple of people have mentioned some of these stocks to me. And in fact, some extensive discussions were had on some of them. The three on the left are relatively new to me because I've never looked at them before. I have looked at Reconnaissance Africa before. I actually made a video on RECAF as well some time back. These are the guys who are drilling and prospecting in Namibia to see if they can uncover what they believe to be billions of barrels of oil at ready to be produced. PetroBras is relatively new to me too. In fact, I opened a long position in PetroBras a few weeks ago at about $10, and so far so good. So these others are new to me. So Brian on our channel had recommended I take a look at Talos and Ranger, and US Compression is your friend and mine, Mr. Robert Burke's one of his favorites. So I thought, hey, you know what, let's take the same format, follow the same format, and take a look at these five. So in that order: Talos, Ranger, US Compression Partners, Reconnaissance Africa, and PetroBras. This is where they trade. The odd one out here is RECAF, or Reconnaissance Africa, which is trading OTC in the US markets because it is trading on a Canadian stock exchange. And you can see at the bottom here what it is that they do. So exploration and product, the same. Oil field machinery and equipment. They say not applicable to RECAF, and this is from bar charts, but we know that they are prospecting for oil in Namibia. And then PetroBras Emerging Markets integrated oil company headquartered in Brazil. Once again, for the technical guys, we look at the stochastic score. Remember, if it's overbought if it's greater than 80, and it's oversold if it's below 20. US Compression, Mr. Burke, seems to be overbought right now. So if you're long in this position, you could probably just hold it, or otherwise you might even look to trim some of the position. The same applies to PetroBras. So this is not a stock that you necessarily want to open a new position in right now if the technicals, and specifically the stochastic score, is what you are basing your decision upon. How about Recon Africa? Well, it's oversold. In fact, people have been exiting in droves from this particular position, and we're going to look at the chart in just a second, so I don't want to preempt myself here in terms of where I'm going. But look at the opinion. 96% today's opinion sell on Recon. Previous opinion was 96% sell, and last month about half of people were saying sell it. I know there are a couple of sort of perma bulls in my camp, and in terms of the people I communicate with regularly on Recon Africa. I hope for their sake that they are right, and we'll have to see how we go. Quite a divergence of opinion here on Talos Energy, Brian. The opinion is predominantly sell, almost 90%, whereas on Ranger Oil Corporation, it is kind of 50-50, where almost half the people are saying buy it. If we look at the weighted alpha, remember, if it's negative, it's risky. That's Talos again. But if it's positive, it's an outperformer. And we see Ranger in that position there. So Ranger might be one that I want to take a closer look at, perhaps along with USAC Compression. And as I said, I've already opened a position in PetroBras, so we'll see how that one goes. How about the performance? So a minusculely positive performance here, not too bad at all. There are a couple of outliers here. So Mr. Burke has done well on US Compression over the last 5 days, so in the near term. But look at this over the 6-month period. So some of these must be getting borderline super cheap. I'm not intimately familiar with them, so I don't have an opinion on this. I'm just sharing this with you. But when you see a stock at 35% down over a 6-month period, 51% down, there's either something fundamentally wrong with the company, or otherwise it's super cheap and teeing itself up for a buy. Ranger, so 17% is pretty good. I'm sure everybody's happy with that. Over the last 6 months, USA Compression, or USAC, only up a smidge, but they also pay a nice dividend. And then PetroBras, of course, is down. And PetroBras being down is one of the reasons why I opened a position in PetroBras, as I said a few minutes ago, at about $10. So the same thing here. We look at the market cap compared to annual sales. The top number is in thousands. So this is 820 billion. I'm sorry, 820 million. And the annual sales, 600 million. So again, there's almost a match-up here. This one falls off a little. Here you have $1 billion in market cap, and only, relatively speaking, almost 300 million in sales. So you can see that Talos is kind of, from a price to sales point of view, kind of almost like borderline generating the same amount of sales as its annual market cap, whereas there are quite large gaps between some of the others. PetroBras is interesting too, for the same reason. The dividends, the first two don't pay a dividend. USA Compression pays a 52 cents per share dividend. Reconnaissance Africa is a prospecting company, so they don't pay a dividend. PetroBras pays a huge dividend of 76 cents per share. How about we look at their graph over the last 1 year, and then we see what happened? Well, look at this line here in pink. I think this is pink. This is what happened to Reconnaissance Africa during the year before it dropped off to where it is now. But if you had opened a position, or if you were long in RECAF at the beginning of 2021, you are up almost 200%, and probably delightful in terms of where you are right now. Ranger has done pretty good too. The others, not so good or less good. But overall, an interesting picture. Reconnaissance Africa certainly just like took off. The people who got in earlier were sitting in a large position of gains, and some people I know took some profit on this and realized those gains. Other people said they would just let it run because they expected to fly going forward on a longer term basis. So guys, that's a quick snapshot for you. This is Mr. Oxy back again in the saddle, talking energy, which is kind of my sweet spot. The five that I talked about earlier on, Oxy, Enbridge, Pembina, Total, and Energy Transfer, are big longs for me. I have a small position in PetroBras. I have a number of other energy stocks as well. I have Energy Fuels, I have Harbor Energy, and I have a few uranium or nuclear stocks as well. So I got quite a few. Anyway, if you like my content, do click the subscribe button. At least keeps me motivated to do more of this. And of course, I look forward to your comments so that we can have some discussion about some of these stocks. So I know it's a mouthful because I mentioned 10 different stocks in this particular video. I'm sure the first 5 are not new to you at all, but the other 5 might be interesting to different people for different reasons. For sure, I know Brian is interested in the first couple that I mentioned there on the second portion of the video, which is Talos Energy and Ranger. And of course, I said Mr. Burke is invested in USAC. So I have positions in the 10 stocks I just mentioned. I have positions in 6 of them. I'm happy with all of them. In fact, as I speak to you now, and over the past year, with the exception of a little bit of rebalancing, I have sold nothing. If anything, I have added to my positions, and I've added and added, not only through my reinvested dividends, but also in terms of pumping more cash into the stocks that I believe over the next 3 to 5 years are going to do very well for us. I'm interested in your thoughts and your feedback, and interested in reading your comments and responding to them. This is Mr. Roxy signing off. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.